Paul Bettany has been living in Disney's world of late, reprising his role as Vision in Marvel's mega-blockbuster Avengers, Infinity War and suiting up as villain Dryden Voss in Lucasfilm's Solo, a Star Wars story which began international rollout this week and releases domestically today. The latter is a redeem for Bettany with director Ron Howard following collaborations on 2001's A Beautiful Mind and 2006's The Da Vinci Code. In a recent chat, Bettany and I geeked out on Star Wars, but touched on many other topics as well. Those include life inside the MCU, his future projects and that Master and Commander sequel Russell Crowe has teased in the past few years, as well as a bit of expletive-laced advice Peter O'Toole once gave a then-novice actor. Check out some video excerpts below. Related, Solo, currently flying low for Disney. Star Wars, opening with $105 million, $115 million 4-day. Ron Howard, Twitter addressing the hiccups that Solo went through on its way to fruition. Original directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were fired months into the shoot and replaced by Howard. Bettany, who joined after the change, called the choice of Howard a brilliant piece of producing from Kathy Kennedy, because if there was any resentment, it would be impossible for that resentment to be passed on to Ron. It can empirically be proved that Ron Howard is the nicest person in the world. Not only is he a great director and shot 80% of what you see, he is also literally the perfect person to put in to take over because it's impossible to dislike him. He added, "You always come onto a film set at different times and in different moments and it felt very normal and the cast was very welcoming. Ron has a very steady hand. You needed that. The ship had been sailing without a captain for a minute. But that can also be overstated. There are lots of people that make movies. It's not just the director. There are really strong producers on those films and you'll have a second unit running with a second unit director. I think the whole thing has been less dramatic and traumatic for everyone than it may appear to have been in the press." Rex Shuttershock Bettany recounted to me when we sat down for an American Pavilion-hosted discussion in Cannes that he was 6 years old when the first Star Wars movie came out in 1977 and that it took me out of a grey and miserable 1970s England and transported me to a different galaxy. I think it was very instrumental. You know, I might lie and say I wanted to become an actor because of Cassavetes movies. But that's not true. The world changed for me in 1977, so 40 years later to be a part of that, and walk up such a famous red carpet with that movie, it was sort of stupidly and pathetically meaningful to me. Bettany and Howard have stayed close over the years. It seems like all the way through my career, Ron has put his hand out and helped me. Bettany got the job on Solo, he explained, after begging Howard when he took over the film. I don't know what he's said in the press, but I'm sure he's said, "I immediately thought of Paul Bettany." That's not true. I texted him and I said, "Hey, Ron, I hear you're taking over Star Wars. Have you ever spent long winter evenings wondering like I have why you're not in Star Wars?" Bettany didn't want to do the typical bad guy voice for Dryden Voss. "I think there's an opportunity in the standalone movies to have a different tone because they're not as encumbered with the same set of responsibilities that the main franchise is," he said. "I wanted it to be more playful. And perhaps if Howard didn't have the confidence in me, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do that." Disney going from good guy Vision in Infinity War to Voss in Solo was somewhat schizophrenic. "They were finding purple makeup on the back of my neck when he flew in from the Avengers Atlantis set to the UK's Pinewood." Bettany called being on Solo magical. When he first walked onto a set as a young actor, he recalled, he had an innocent, unjaded, wide-eyed feeling, and had told himself, "It won't ever be the same again, remember it." He didn't have that feeling again, until I walked down a spiral staircase and an R2 unit went by with champagne flutes on its head and there was a girl in a gold lame dress dancing and singing. I was a kid again. It was amazing. Metro Films. The actor is not only doing blockbusters these days. British indie he starred in for director Saul Dib, Journey's End, was released earlier this year and won him the Best Supporting Actor prize at the recent Beijing International Film Festival. "The film was special to me and Saul Dib did a fantastic job. He's a brilliant director and I'm really proud of the result. It's a super movie and, you know, it will find its audience." It really struggled despite having amazing reviews. I was surprised that it didn't get any traction, but I think it's so hard to make noise in amongst all these juggernauts. Film and TV have switched roles, Bettany opined. He last year starred in Discovery's Manhunt, Unabomber playing Ted Kaczynski and says he would 100% do TV again. Film used to have to be niche and find its audience in a little art house cinema, and TV had to work for everybody. And now it's kind of flipped where there's so many platforms that TV can be incredibly niche. So I think we're all trying to find our footing on ground that is just constantly changing," he said. Does how a project will be distributed inform his decisions, whether it be as actor or filmmaker? Yes, he said. It's sort of sad in one way or another because you're thinking, okay, so two of three things have to be great: the cast, the script, and the director. If two of those things are great, should I do it? Well, what about who's producing it, and what about where it's going to be placed in the festival? If it's going to be placed in the first week or the second week, that will signal to the distributor who should pick it up, and it becomes such a more complicated decision then. I love the script. I think the director's great. Bettany made his directorial debut in 2014 with Shelter, a story set amongst New York's homeless and starring his wife Jennifer Connelly. He's thinking about returning behind the camera and is currently writing something at Howard and Brian Grazer's Imagine with A Beautiful Mind scribe Akiva Goldsman, keeping an eye on me. The project has a role for Connelly, although he joked, "I'll probably put her through a quite lengthy audition process, and obviously I'll be looking at other actresses." Fox I asked Bettany about Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. Peter Weir's critically acclaimed 2003 10-time Oscar nominee, and two-time winner, that has a beloved place in many hearts. Star Russell Crowe has previously teased a sequel could be in the offing. Bettany acknowledged, "Somebody told me that recently, but I think he's done that every couple of years, maybe hoping that somebody picks up on it. If there were a second film, would he do it? I would revisit those waters in a heartbeat," he said. Bettany is proud of that one. "I love that movie. I loved working with Peter Weir. I think he's one of the greats and will be remembered as one of the greats. It was a really magical time." He described working with Weir as a unique experience. "We're on a boat with extra cast that he spent a year casting from all over the world. He would have speakers up in the masts and he would get a microphone and tell the story of where we were when we were about to shoot the scene, and there would be translators. But it was like he was telling a story that was enthralling, and it was amazing, and he did it every day. I think that's why the frame always feels alive with real people in the background that are invested. He's always there, supporting you, and seems to have all the time in the world." Bettany also spoke about being on the stage and how young actors today don't always have the chops to be doing the things they're being asked to do. "There's a reason Peggy Ashcroft is so famous for playing Juliet at 35. I do think there used to be a world where an agent would protect you and say, go and be in rep theater and do plays for 5 years and then we'll talk about movies. There was a time for you to become seasoned before you were thrust out there." Yorkshire Television. He then recounted a great lesson Peter O'Toole once taught him. "I was having real trouble with a producer who kept telling me I was dreadful in the rushes. So Bettany asked O'Toole what he should do. The Lawrence of Arabia icon said, "Once upon a time, I was in a David Lean movie, and they were premiering the film at Cannes, and the producer called me onto his yacht and he told me I was terrible in every scene. So," O'Toole said, "I went back and I got very drunk and swam out to his yacht, climbed up the anchor chain, and I stole all of his cigars." But what was the moral of the story? O'Toole, Bettany said, responded, "Well, where does an 800-pound gorilla sit? And I went, anywhere he chooses, and he went, anywhere he chooses." So, O'Toole suggested, the producer is scared you don't know what you're doing, so this is what you're going to do. Tomorrow, he's going to come up, and when he says hello to you, you're going to smile at him and you're going to say, off. Bettany followed the advice. See him tell the whole story in the video below. Paul Bettany at Cannes with Nancy Tartaglione. Next up, Jodie Foster, Behind the Lens 2148. Quality share video. Facebook, Twitter, email, link, http://deadline.com/2018/star-wars-story-Avenger-command-sequel-calendar-120239567 copied out 180p 1080p 720p 406p 270p 180 prewind 10 seconds. Next up, Jodie Foster, Behind the Lens Live 000003 2803-28 Chromecast closed captions share video settings full screen more videos 2148 Jodie Foster, Behind the Lens 239 Mary Shelley, Deadline. Studio at Tribeca 201,823 to 13th Andy Noon, The Actors Side 549 Tom Bernard Sony Classics, Can 201,800 to 31, Sajinx Sneak Peek at Johnny Galecki's Prank Show on Science Channel 1721 Freddie Highmore, The Actors Side Close Fast forward several years on from that lesson, and Bettany's been a staple of the Marvel Universe. He said switching gears to going from Jarvis to the Vision has been a really nice journey. You had this sort of omnipotent creature who was also super naive, and that was fun. And as the movies progressed, he was experimenting with what it's like to be human and getting things wrong, and as you see in Infinity War, he maybe does the most human thing that you can do. Rex Shuttershock working in the MCU films has been a real privilege. Usually as a film actor you're not often working with the same people again and again and again. So your jokes become funny every 5 months and you can get away with the same asterisk. We as a team have gone through not just the Avengers, we've all gone through real-life stuff. People have had children. People have got married. People have got divorced. We've been through real-life stuff all together, and it's been a real privilege and a unique experience. You can end up living your life pretty incrementally, and that's boring. So what's next? After being in what Bettany termed the Disney Press pinball machine for 2 films, he's looking forward to summer holiday. I kind of want to sit on a beach and drink an Aperol Spritz.